The expectation was that I fend for myself, I perform at a level which I had never had to perform. So when I came back, my dad gave me a piece of advice. You know nothing, keep your mouth shut and listen and learn. As a leader, yes, I need to lead them towards that. I can't expect that of them. So 10 years down the line, I would say GITAM will start ranking very high in the world because we made a very a change in the way we decided to run GITAM.
Hello everyone, my name is Ajay Manchkonda and welcome to the Corporate Connections initiative of Embrace Excellence. These are the videos where we talk to our members of Corporate Connections and we deep dive into their journeys, their personal lives and their professional goals. On that note, let me welcome and introduce a good friend of mine, a member of Corporate Connections Vizag and the Secretary of GITAM Society, Bharadwaj.
Hello everyone, my name is Bharadwaj. I am the Secretary of GITAM University, as Ajay has mentioned. Really looking forward to this session. It's going to be a great experience for me.
Bharadwaj, thank you once again. So let's start a quick thing. I know you're from Vizag. I know you moved to Hyderabad at a very early age and then I guess you moved to the US for a long time and then back to India. But any few points you want to highlight on in your college lives or journey that made you who you are today?
Honestly, I would say my college life wasn't as impactful on me as any other part of my life. So before I went to college, I had a very close association with my grandfather, so picked up a lot of things from him. Went abroad, was left to my own devices, got used to being on my own, doing things myself without taking any help. So became independent. Then once I moved from education into working in the US, that's essentially where it was a very rough awakening for me because I'd always been looked after by my parents, very conservative family, always had as much money as I wanted. So there was no point ever where I had to struggle for anything. So once I started working, that shifted immediately. The expectation was that I fend for myself, I perform at a level which I had never had to perform. College, I just kind of waltzed through. I never really focused on anything. I just had fun, got done with it. Once I started working, I started realizing that if for it to matter, I need to excel at what I do.
Correct.
So that's where I started focusing on what I did. I started improving myself as much as I could. And I grew very fast while I was in the US, especially while I was working. While I was in college, I was extremely introverted to myself, never really made too many friends. Once I started working, I realized that would not have worked. That won't work again. So I had to put myself out there, get out of my comfort zone, make as many friends as I possibly could. And at the same time, not just kind of cruise through work, I actually had to put in the effort, learn and excel. So that was the most defining part of my life. 3 years where I was working kind of set the tone for me up till now. Yeah.
So from a boy who had everything to somebody who was an introvert, going there, learning your ways, but and introspecting and becoming who you are, was there any tipping point, any incident that you can think about that made you transition from here to there?
Honestly, I don't think there was a tipping point per se. I just say I had very few friends. The few friends that I did have put in the effort for me. That is, so when I was working in Atlanta, so that was where I was working for Coca-Cola. So I was staying with a roommate. So the roommate was a very close friend of mine. Well, actually, I just barely met him at that point. I knew his brother better. So he took it upon himself to kind of break me out of my introverted shell. He forced me to go out every day. Whenever he went out, he would drag me with him. And I kind of just got used to doing that.
Putting you in uncomfortable positions.
Extremely uncomfortable positions. So that kind of worked in my favor. In fact, a lot a lot of the greatest things that I've learned in life have come because of friends. Because especially when you're in the US, you're on your own. So your family is not close to you. The only people that are friends. And you can choose to either learn the bad things from them or the good things. I luckily had good friends who were around me who did the good things, who taught me to pick up the good things. So that just kind of worked out in my favor.
Nice. Thanks for that honest answer.
Thank you.
Taking on the role of Secretary of GITAM wasn't something you anticipated. How do you approach adapting to a new field and set of responsibilities? What initial steps did you take to make this transition work, and what did you find essential in tackling unexpected roles?
So that was actually a very good question. So this also leads back to people in my life teaching me. So when I moved back from the US after my grandfather passed away, I actually joined as a joint secretary, not as a secretary. So when I came back, my dad gave me a piece of advice. You know nothing, keep your mouth shut and listen and learn for at least 6 months. So I was like, fine, give me a reasonable directive, I'll follow that. So for 6 months, I didn't make decisions. I just listened, I paid attention, and I essentially learned as much as I could about GITAM. But I think that kind of set the tone for me in terms of after those 6 months, I knew so much. And because I had come from the US where the expectation is that people are agile, coming into a system like GITAM where nothing is agile was a shock for me. I was getting burnt out. Because the first 6 months I paid attention, I learned. In the next 6 months, I wanted to implement rapid change. Nothing happened. So that was a very demoralizing time for me. And I was getting burnt out. And then luckily COVID hit. So that kind of worked out in my favor because I got 8 months to myself to essentially introspect, figure out what I was doing wrong. Realized that a lot of why I was struggling at GITAM was because of me. Because I had expectations that everyone in GITAM would perform at my level.
At your level.
Which is not a fair expectation for anybody.
At your pace,
my pace, my agility, my focus. So I was expecting everybody to perform at my level, with my level of focus, with my agility. And that was a failure on my part. Because see, as a leader, yes, I need to lead them towards that. I can't expect that of them. So those 8 months during lockdown helped me quite a bit to kind of realize that I was being too intense and I needed to pare it back, and it wasn't the fault of my employees. So once I realized that, I changed the way I started working. I also started trusting in them a little bit more rather than micromanaging them, and that helped quite a bit. And then post that, I think about a year after that, roughly in June 22 is where I became the secretary. And in terms of new roles and how I adapt to it, while I was in the US, I was a consultant. And I worked in multiple companies. I worked in a small startup in Utah. I worked in McDonald's. I worked in Comcast. I worked in Coca-Cola. So every single place was something new. It was never boring. And as a consultant, the expectation is that you come in and you perform immediately. There is no, okay, take 2-3 months to learn and then you can start performing. There is nothing of that sort. The expectation is you come in, you start performing from maybe day 2, day 3.
Is that the American thing or just the consultant thing?
It is the consultant thing in the US. The expectation is that you're being paid a lot. So the expectation is that you deliver at that level. And a consultant is supposed to be very flexible. You come in, you're a specialist in your area, and you deliver in that area, right. And that's it. If it's a new area, the expectation is different. So I carried that over to GITAM. So when I joined as joint secretary, I came from a background in IT. I was a front-end developer. From there, moving into management and administration was a nightmare for me because I did not like talking to people. Vast majority of my conversations were always through WhatsApp or Slack or any other messaging app for that matter. It was very rare I had to do in-person conversations. Meetings were also very short and few for me.
Right.
from that to this was a challenge, but I came at it similar to how I would a consultant. The expectation is that you will have to deliver, and I put myself under pressure, and I do very well while I'm under pressure. If you leave me alone and not put any pressure on me, I tend not to perform. Once I'm under pressure, I will somehow, it's like pulling a bunny out of a hat. I'll somehow make it happen.
Like a diamond.
Diamond
Diamond is
is
found only under pressure, right?
true, but then they require a lot of polishing to shine.
That's okay.
Yeah. And I think that polishing happened while I was here in GITAM. Slowly it's coming out.
So 3 years from your joint secretary to secretary?
2 years. So I joined in 19 Feb. I'm not counting COVID as a year.
No.
So I'm discounting 20 as a whole. So 19, 21, and then 22 I became secretary. Yeah.
Nice. So let's jump in a little bit of your journey in Corporate Connections. So you've been one of the core group members for Corporate Connections Vizag. You've been there since inception. That's a little over 3 years now.
Correct.
What's your take? What has your journey been over the last 3 years in Corporate Connections, and any fun moments you'd like to share?
Honestly, the entire thing has been fun for me. Well, outside of the first maybe 3-4 months where I didn't know anybody. So the reason I joined Corporate Connections is very simple. I was in Vizag till I think around 2000. So that's around my 5th or 6th grade. Moving into 6th grade, I moved to Hyderabad. So 6th through 12th, I built a network in Hyderabad. And then I moved to the US. Then from 2009 through 2019, I built a network in the US. And then I chose to come back to Vizag because this is where GITAM is administered from. And I moved back and I realized that I had no friends. I knew nobody here. And everything that I wanted, I had to depend on somebody or the other to make a call for me. So when I was given the opportunity to join CC, I begrudgingly decided to join. I was not a huge fan of the idea at the time simply because I was struggling with work at this point of time. So I was still adapting to GITAM. I was still figuring out my way forward there. And then Corporate Connections came up as an opportunity. I took the leap. I joined. It was very uncomfortable the first couple of months because I didn't know as many people. Plus, I was traveling like mad, so I missed quite a few meetings at the start.
Yeah.
But then once I started building relationships, that's where things started changing for me. Because I realized the kind of knowledge I was gaining just by talking to people and building a relationship with them was amazing. So that's where I decided I'd start putting in an effort. Because if you remember, in the initial maybe 1 year outside of attending our meetings, I never made an attempt to do anything else. Once, and also at that point of time, my mentality was I put an X amount of money into CC, I need to get at least X into 3 out of it. Which obviously is a good way of looking at it, but also a bad way of looking at it. Because then you become, you get target fixation. The target here is money and you will only look at that. And once I changed that mindset to being, okay, it's not about money, it's about the connections I make today, which I can use maybe 2 years down the line, 3 years, 5 years down the line. So I just started focusing on that. I have started attending as many meetings as I can. I've started trying to meet as many members as I can. And the reason for it is very simply that even if we can't do business together today, at some point in the future, you never know, some kind of collaboration could be possible. And that is what is driving me to essentially take part in CC as much as I am currently.
Right.
Because the more people I meet today, and the thing about CC is when you ask them what they're doing, if people ask me what I do, I just tell them I'm the secretary of GITAM, I just run the college. But when a CC member asks me specific questions, I'm more than happy to answer. When an outsider asks me that, I'm not really comfortable sharing also.
Right.
So it's reciprocal. I share, they share back with me. So
Absolutely.
that helps me quite a bit in terms of learning the different kind of businesses there are. Because I spent so much time abroad, I know the landscape there. It took me a while to understand the landscape here. I was struggling, and then once I joined CC, I started realizing where the opportunities were, the kind of effort it takes to build a business here, the kind of things you need to watch out for when you're building a business here. And that's the greatest takeaway I have from CC per se.
Great. Any particular speaker session or the expert series that you've listened to that you've had takeaways from, or something that's just engraved in your mind that you can
Not
think about?
really. See, I don't take away things when it's one to many. I take away things when it's one to one, or if it's a very small group. Because if it's one to many, it becomes a monologue, and I lose focus. Whatever little I pick up, but
Right.
it's not very engaging. Now, whereas if I'm having a conversation with you, I will pay attention to you, because I'm not going to be looking around this side, that side when I'm talking to you. It's insulting to you, and if you do that, I'll get very irritated. So, in that sense, because that's the stance I take, I learn a lot more when it's on a one-to-one. And I've learned an incredible number of things that way.
A few of your biggest takeaways through personal learnings or through whatever it could be.
There are quite a few, but the one that really stands out to me, and this I don't know why this has stuck so much
Mexico?
with me. No, not Mexico. This was Srinath Garu.
Okay.
So I don't know, in some meeting he said this, where apparently his dad, when he joined his company, asked him, "What are you going to do past 5 that you haven't done the entire day?"
I remember this.
So that's become a guiding principle for me now. If I can't wrap it up in the workday, then it's not important.
I think his words were, నువ్వు పొద్దున్నుంచి
పొద్దున్నుంచి
5 దాకా చేసిన పని తర్వాత
తర్వాత ఏం చేస్తావు? So that's stuck, and
True.
that has become a guiding principle for me now. If I cannot wrap it up in the workday, I'm like, this is not important, I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah.
No, absolutely.
So that's one major takeaway. The other thing, I don't remember the name of the speaker. This is in Mexico. I forgot his name, actually. It's not Vern Harnish, it's the other one. I'm so sorry, I forgot his name. He said something that really resonated with me. He said, how will people know your story if you don't tell them your story? And that is also something that I've realized. Before that, my assumption was, because I'm the secretary of GITAM, people would know. Now I'm like, no, let's just tell them. It's easier for them. Rather than doing research, I can just tell them. It's faster for them as well. Yeah.
Nice. So Bharadwaj, I know that you're quite attached to forums. I'm sure most of our audience are Corporate Connections members, so they basically understand forums. But if you'd like to throw a line or two about, in general, what is your version of forums and your biggest takeaways from forums?
Honestly, forums are a good place to be. It's lonely at the top. A lot of the problems that I face in business or in my personal life, I'm not very comfortable sharing outside. And the reason for that is very simple. When you share outside, a couple of different things could happen. One, they'll kick you when you're down. The other is they might not understand what your problem is, and may make light of it because of that. The other is that it falls on deaf ears, which is not a very fun experience. So, in forums, it helps a lot that everyone is there to listen, and they will ask you questions. They will try and understand what the problem is, and then share their experiences. In the position and the role I'm in, there are 1,000 people that will give me advice, but there will be very few people that will come forward and say, okay, I did this when I had a problem similar to yours, and it worked for me. A forum will essentially give me access to around 6 to 7 people who will do that for me, who will essentially put themselves out there and say, I had this problem, and this is what I experienced, and this is how I dealt with it. And that is extremely valuable to me. Because in the shortest duration of time, I will be able to communicate my problem. In the shortest duration of time, they will communicate their experiences to me. And from that, I can immediately formulate a strategy to move forward. And also at the same time, there's no judgment.
Right.
I have asked some of the dumbest questions to some, I hope they looked intelligent. So I've asked some of those questions, and I've taken huge learnings away from it. In terms of what I learned there, I don't think I'm comfortable sharing that.
No, of course. We don't.
Yeah, but it's been a journey, because it's similar in that you learn to trust people. It's not that the minute you walk into the room, the expectation is that you become best friends and you immediately start sharing. There's no way for that to happen. It will never happen. You slowly build up trust, you communicate, and then eventually you get to a point where you're comfortable sharing anything. Like, I can see a clear difference between what I used to share when I first joined forums to what I'm willing to share now. Because at that point of time, I wasn't sure how this was going. I kind of understood the principles behind it, but again, it takes time to build trust. So there's a remarkable difference between what I was sharing in the first meeting to what I am willing to share now. Now I'm an open book. You ask me a question, it's up to you whether you want to listen or not. Yeah.
Great.
Well,
So just about a month or so ago, we had this CC All India Summit Convergence. 3 highlights or takeaways for you in terms of fun, experiences, learnings, anything it could be, but 3 highlights for you from that event. I'm sure you had a good time.
Yeah, I had a great time. The biggest thing essentially for me was that I walked in there and I felt comfortable because surprisingly enough, almost 60% of the people that I already knew. I had met them at some point in some event or the other, or gone to their chapter and met them.
You've been that active in CC all over the world.
So that's been that was amazing. There was no discomfort. Usually I'm very uncomfortable meeting new groups of people. I walked into this and I felt like, okay, I'm just coming home. There are a couple of guests added on. So that was something I was not expecting, to be very honest. Outside of that, the speaker sessions were amazing. Got to hang out with a lot of people, got to connect with a lot of people. And it kind of proves my thesis that more than anything else, relationships are what matter. So up till that point of time, it was still something that I was thinking would work. That is, relationships will eventually start adding fruits. In Convergence, I started seeing some of those fruits. Like, there were specific people who had heard about me from somebody else,
Okay.
and said, okay, I need to meet this guy because I can add value to him. There were a couple of people from Chennai that did this. There were a couple of people from Bangalore that did this.
Yeah, I remember somebody from Bangalore also approached me to connect you.
Yeah, there's a guy from Bombay as well that wanted to meet me. And that is because I have made it a point to be open about what I do and why I'm here. And that's now bearing fruit. People are now coming after me to say, I want to talk to you. I think I can add value. And that, I think, is something huge for me.
Great. So Bharadwaj, I've always known you as a person who gets bored very easily. So having said that, what investments do you do, or how do you diversify in business to ensure that your life gets interesting or stays interesting?
So I got when I moved back in 2019. Again, this is one of those things where friends come into the picture. So I moved back in 19. I started working. I did not have time to do anything. Luckily, my dad was around, so he was looking after the companies. My whole and soul focus was GITAM, and that also was consuming a lot of my time. So around this time, a friend called Anirudh came in. He was extremely interested in doing startup investments. And he said something along the lines of, you're never going to start something on your own. You don't have the time. Just give me the money. I'll invest it in startups for you. Which is how I got into investing. I made a lot of investments over time, got one exit. And then after that, I realized that model works for me. I do not have the time to babysit a new company.
Right.
I do not have the time to manage a company. So my stance was I would start investing in people and ideas that I liked, and wherever it leads to, it leads to. So I've invested in a couple of things like gold hallmarking. I've invested in some paintings as well. And most of these investments I made because I had faith in the founder,
Right.
and there was a niche for that business. And that's pretty much how I'm proceeding. Now I've taken over my companies as well. So I've realized that there are a lot of gaps in the companies also. So I'm essentially shoring up the foundation now. So that's keeping me occupied as of today. Because if I want to be adventurous, you need to have a stable foundation.
Yes.
If you don't have a stable foundation, you're building on a house of cards, and everything will collapse one day. One hard gust of wind and everything collapses. So to continue to be as adventurous as I've been with my investments, I've essentially said, okay, I'm going to take some time off from that and focus on shoring up my companies today.
So you're going to ensure your foundation GITAM is...
Not GITAM, actually. So GITAM Foundation, my other companies. GITAM foundations are rock solid to a large extent. There are a couple of areas where there are gaps, which I am addressing actively right now. But the companies outside of GITAM are where I'm actively shoring up the foundation today. I would say in another year, I would be in a place where I can start being adventurous again.
Nice. Yeah. So let's get to the last part. Vision and goals. And for this, I'd like to ask you 3 different questions. One personal, one professional, and one corporate connections related. So personally, where do you see yourself 10 years from now? Honestly,
that's a very interesting question for me because I don't do vision and goals per se. I'm the kind of person that if I see a goal which is too large, I lose interest. And yes, I want to be extremely rich. Yes, I want to be in a much better social standing. But if I define that, it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, there's a target to go towards. On the other hand, I will just go there, and because I'm a lazy person in general, I'll probably get there and I'm like, enough. I have achieved what I want. I don't need to achieve anymore. So goal setting is very dangerous for me. Rather than that, I would like to take it in the approach that I will have made another 5 to 10 investments. I will have invested into a couple more verticals outside of what I've already invested into. And that's pretty much how I go about it. So my mom always says I'm happy-go-lucky, and I don't know why that is, but it's just kind of worked for me. So I'm just continuing to go down that road. Okay, that's good. So since you already spoke about investments, where do you see GITAM going 10 years down the line? Could be in terms of number of students, maybe a new campus, whatever you think. So 10 years down the line, I would say GITAM will start ranking very high in the world because we made a very a change in the way we decided to run GITAM. So GITAM has always been run like a college. That is, you have students coming in, we teach them, we prepare them for the world outside, and then we send them out. We've realized that that is not a sustainable model for the long run because you are doing nothing but turning yourself into a puppy mill. You're getting something in, you're getting something out, that's it. So we've decided to make a significant shift in how we see how GITAM is going to grow going forward. We're trying to move it away from being a college and more into an institute of excellence of research. So we're very consciously spending money on research equipment, research infrastructure. We're giving our top performing researchers more freedom to essentially actually spend time doing research rather than teaching. And we don't think that the dividends will come now. I think the dividends will be in the next 10, 20 and 30 years. We might not see anything now for the next 5 years. All it will seem like is we're burning money. But the kind of the renown and the kind of funding that an institute of research gets is incredible. Take IISc. It started off as a Tata college, and then today it is the premier research institute. You think about research, you think about IISc, and then you think about IITs. It's because they made a very conscious effort to go down that road. Right. And that's what we want to do as well. Right. Good to know. And we will not be starting a new campus. Just to answer that question also. There's too much that we have to do internally in terms of restructuring GITAM to match that vision that I don't think we will have the time to go out and set up a new campus and then get that up to the level that the other 3 campuses are at. Because it took us a while to get Hyderabad and Bangalore to Vizag's level. And now we need to raise the level of all 3 at the same time. Now, if we bring in a 4th, our entire focus will move there, and the levels here could start dropping, which we don't want to risk. No, very practically said. Last question regarding your goals and vision. So, you've recently taken up the role of chapter chair for Corporate Connections Vizag.
just a few weeks ago. So where do you see the chapter and you 1 year down the line, because your role entitles you to be the chapter chair for a year going forward?
Honestly, I have put a lot of thought into this, and I have realized that there isn't a single goal that I have for myself. I have goals at the chapter level.
Right.
Because I'm not perfect, I agree, but I think I'm doing what other members in Corporate Connections should do. So I'm going to be the benchmark. So I'm going to say that I don't have any personal goals per se as chapter chair. However, as a chapter, some of the goals or some of the vision that I have is essentially that everyone starts collaborating more. As of right now, at least the Vizag chapter, everyone is in their own silo. There are areas for collaboration, but we're all going at it ourselves. Rather than that, I think if we can create an environment where a win-win solution for everyone is acceptable, I think it will work out very well. And it will lead to stronger bonds within the chapter, and at the same time, it will lead to extreme business growth in the long term.
Done. Sounds good. Let's see where it goes a year from now. And
absolutely.
Hope you achieve that as the chapter chair.
I don't think I will. I'm going to be very honest. This is something that I hope the next couple of generations of chapter chairs kind of come along with my vision, because this is not something that you can fix in a year.
Similar to what you said, you're building a foundation for that.
Yes, I'm building a foundation for that, so I'm probably going to indoctrinate the next guy also into this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just a few more questions about your personality when it comes to GITAM or your foundation. You're known for a direct approach in conversations. When you face tough conversations, how do you decide what to say and still keep empathy in mind? What strategies do you use to balance clear communication with understanding?
So that's a very interesting question. When I moved back to India in 19, I was a straight shooter. Empathy wasn't even in the ballpark. I did not care, and I just communicated what I had to do. What they decide to do with it is up to them. And that is pretty much how I continued for the longest of time. And then I took a course in Kautilya, our public policy school. A professor from Stanford had come down to teach it. It seemed like a good opportunity for me to learn. It's called interpersonal dynamics. It teaches you about empathy, it teaches you about how to communicate your feelings and so on and so forth, which is something that as Indians we're taught to ignore. We're not taught to be empathetic. We're not taught to share our feelings. We're not taught to embrace our feelings either. So when I was given the opportunity to do the program, I did the program. And that's where I started realizing the kind of impact my words had. So I still communicate what I have to. See, there are times where how much ever empathy you want to employ, some things have to be said.
Correct.
At that point of time, I just turn it off. I'm like, yeah, this is what you have to do. You're not doing it right, and this is not acceptable. At times where I can choose to be a little bit more diplomatic or a little bit more empathetic, I'm doing that now. However, the idea that I want to convey will stay the same. It's just that the language around is changing. There will never come a time, at least up till now, there has never come a time where I have essentially said, okay, this might hurt their feeling, I shouldn't tell them. My thing is, I will tell them. If it hurts their feelings, I will try to soften the blow a little bit, but the blow is going to fall either.
So, empathy without compromise and without losing integrity?
Yes. Integrity is very important because you are known by your mistakes. If you choose to step back there, that is where it falls apart. And you can do 1,000 good things. You do one bad thing, you will be known for life by that one bad thing you did. So at no point do I want to compromise my moral compass or my integrity. I am very clear about that. I may hurt people, I may hurt myself, I don't care. My integrity and my moral compass cannot be shaken, is the stance that I have taken.
Can you also give a specific example of a time where empathy guided a tough decision for you? Without, of course, compromising, without losing integrity.
Honestly, I don't know. I kind of make sure that those sort of situations never pop up for me.
Okay.
And also, I don't ever file these away at the back of my mind, because I have to take so many decisions so often that I essentially have to keep moving forward. I can't sit and introspect. I may introspect about a bad decision I take and then file the learning away, not the actual situation away. So I don't have a lot of these. Do you remember one of these? Because it's very difficult for me. But in terms of empathy helping out, there was this one particular situation that really stands out to me. A mother came into my office along with her daughter one day.
Okay.
So her husband had recently passed away. I think this was either during COVID or right after COVID, something related to COVID, if I remember right.
We did that.
She had joined her daughter in computer science, I want to say, and her second daughter in dental. So she was doing a program in BDS. So that is Bachelor of Dental Surgery. And she came into my office and she said my husband had passed away. I can't afford to pay fees. And she's like, please reduce the fees whatever you can. I was like, I'm not going to reduce your fees. You tell me what you can pay. She's like, no, sir, you decide. I'm like, then I'm not going to give you a discount. It's your choice. Either you decide how much it is or I'm not giving you anything. She gave me a number. I implemented that number. And she has now successfully gotten one daughter married. Her second daughter should be graduating now or has graduated. Oh, wow. And my moral compass always says help people how much ever you can. They may take advantage of you, but still help. Because you never know how large an impact a small decision on your end could have for them. The amount of money that GITAM lost there was inconsequential relative to the overall system. But the impact that was there for her and her two daughters is magnified 1,000-fold relative to the damage that was done to GITAM. And that is an area, that is something that came up because I decided to empathize. I could have chosen to be like any other education, like nothing doing, you agreed to pay the fees or leave. I chose not to do that, and I impacted 3 lives very positively with one single decision that I made. And I think empathy plays a very big role in it, but there's also a time and a place for it. You can't apply it everywhere all the time.
In today's world, people just want to take you for a ride.
Correct.
If they know you're empathetic.
Correct. And that's one area where I'm generally very harsh when people come to my office, because it needs to be made clear to them that there will be consequences if they're trying to take me for a ride. And I have doled out some of those consequences, and it's not fun for me. Because in general, I don't like hurting people. But if I'm being taken for a ride, I have to get that. So that's a very slippery slope. So that's the reason why I'm very harsh when they come in. So if they're not serious about it, they tend to back out right there.
Good call.
Yeah.
So for someone stepping into a challenging role, especially one they didn't expect, what mindset or first steps would you recommend?
Go in with an open mind. Assume that you're not the smartest person in the room at that point. And that everyone from someone that brings you your coffee all the way up to the person running the organization will have something to teach you. Because as a personal anecdote, when I joined GITAM, there was an attender who was either the first or second employee of GITAM who was still there when I joined.
Okay.
And he helped me manage all the people that were coming to my office. He pointed out who some of the people are who were here to take me for a ride. And he did the job of gatekeeping and a great job of teaching me, saying, this guy is trying to take you for a ride, pay attention. And that was very helpful to me. So that kind of cemented, I always knew that I should learn from everybody, but this cemented it for me, that it doesn't matter what station they are in life, they have experiences that they can share which could truly be invaluable. So any new role that you're getting into, you will learn from everybody around you. It doesn't matter what role they're playing. It's up to you to pay attention to their experiences.
On that note, if you have to advise aspiring leaders, in terms of how can adaptability and a willingness to learn make a difference while tackling bigger responsibilities? What would you say?
So learning can be looked at multiple ways. One is that if you're trying to learn, you're just trying to learn. The other way of looking at it is you're asking people for help so that you can learn. And when you're being put in challenging roles, challenging positions, there is no shame in asking for help. For me, I have had Bharat here. I've had my father at home. I have had friends around me. And I have very shamelessly leaned on them whenever I needed to, when I'm in a challenging situation. Because they would have had experienced this. I have never experienced this. So leaning on them to kind of understand what my decision or my stance should be there and how I can prepare myself better for a situation like this in the future is only going to happen if I put myself out there and ask. And I've done that a lot, and that has made me who I am today. When you're moving into a new leadership role, you need to put in the effort to learn from everybody, because you never know where you're going to learn things.
Right. Thank you for all those candid and honest answers. Let's move into a quick rapid fire round. No time to think. Whatever comes to your mind first. Good, bad, right, wrong, ugly, doesn't matter. Your favorite book?
Harry Potter, the series as a whole.
Movie?
Movie is interesting.
Or a TV show? TV series?
Honestly, drawing a blank.
We'll come back to that. Your favorite holiday destination?
My village.
Which is?
Moolapuram. It's near Amlapuram.
Okay.
So essentially at least when I was younger, there was no entertainment per se. There no TV, no internet, so it's very peaceful.
Okay. Your favorite food?
Ramen. Or sushi. Depends on the day.
Your favorite personality, living or dead?
Favorite is challenging.
Somebody you looked up?
Interesting. I would say Hitler.
Interesting.
I would say Adolf Hitler because...
The most interesting personality, living or dead?
Most interesting personality, living or dead. Honestly, I don't know. There's so many. There's different people that I would like to meet for different things. So Adolf Hitler, I'd like to understand how he managed to convince an entire nation that they need to exterminate a race. I don't understand how he managed to do that. So that's something I would have loved to learn. Not that I'm going to do that, just to clarify. Then there's one person that I've always looked up to is Bill Nye the Science Guy, because the kind of genuine joy he gets in teaching and in doing science is something that's always stood out.
He's inspired a lot of people, no?
Yeah.
30 years, 20 years ago.
He's the one that inspired me to always learn as much as you can. So I'd say he's one of those really, really key people in my life. And obviously my grandfather, because I grew up idolizing him. And the kind of clarity he had, the kind of focus he had, I only hope at some point in my life I live up to that.
Yes. Your favorite hobby?
Gaming?
Gaming.
Computer gaming, specifically.
Computer gaming.
Yes.
So any favorite sport?
Honestly, I like watching some of the weirdest sports. Like, I like watching timber sports. I like watching darts. And it's those sort of games that I like watching. The ones that are out there where you're kind of struggling to understand what's happening. There's the other one where I forgot the name of that sport. It's the one where they push those rocks on the curling. I really like watching curling.
Okay.
In terms of playing sports, I like playing pickleball. I like playing badminton. Things like that, yeah.
Nice. Your favorite quote from any author, any movie, any book?
Quote. Okay. Nothing stands out to me.
Your favorite car?
My old Benz. I have a W124 from 1997. It's my favorite car.
If you want to revisit a city anywhere in the world, apart from your hometown, what would that city be?
I haven't visited enough cities to want to do this.
Okay.
But if I had to pick, I would say Philadelphia.
Okay. Any other city you would want to visit? Anywhere in the world? A few
Tokyo's
of them?
on my list. Osaka's on my list. Where else? I want to visit quite a few places in South America. I definitely want to visit. I'm listing countries right now, not cities, obviously. I want to visit Ethiopia. There are a whole bunch of places that I want to visit that I haven't had the opportunity to go as of right now.
So, currently, in your situation, so how many days a year do you travel for no reason or on a holiday?
That is actually very minimal. Outside of visiting my wife's family, I don't really travel for fun per se as much. I would say out of an entire year, probably about 20 days to 30 days upper limit is the amount of time I'd be traveling for myself rather than for work.
And practically in the next 5 years, if you want to bump that number up from 30, what would that number be?
365, why would I have to work? Given a choice, it's 365 days holiday. But practically, I would say I don't want that to grow as much. I don't mind the 30 days of leisure. What I do want to see is a decrease in the number of days I'm traveling for work.
Okay.
So I'm traveling at least 90 to 120 days a year for work. So I'd like to pare that down drastically, given a choice.
All right, Bharadwaj, thank you so much for your time. All the very best. Hope you achieve your goals and hope you have enough time to travel and hope all your dreams come true. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ajay. It's been a great opportunity. I'd love to see how the videos actually turn out at the end, but I think it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to collaborating more with people as well. So I think this will also kind of help my case in building relationships.
I'm sure it will.
Hope I come across as interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you.